Hi, today I'm going to talk about creativity. And why is that important? Well, because creativity is the only skill that robots and computers cannot replicate till now and in the near future. So, if you do not want your job to be taken away by a bloody robot, then please take this video seriously. So, let's start. Creativity as a term is so overused that it has lost its true meaning. When someone says creativity, people normally think about someone doing crafts or some artwork or something like that, or maybe dancing or maybe music. But creativity is a very wide term. It has application in every field. So first let me burst some myths and clear some misconceptions about creativity. And this information is coming after lots of research. So please pay attention. So there is a misconception that there are some people who are creative and there are some people who are not creative. No, that is a lie. Everybody is creative and everybody is not creative. So what do I mean by that? I mean what I mean is that there is nothing in your biology or in your genes that determines whether a person is creative or not creative. It all depends on your experiences and how many ideas your mind gets or how many ideas is your mind exposed to. Now, it can be seen as a way that creativity is a skill and a skill needs to be learned. And there are ways to learn creativity and be more creative. We'll come to that later in this video. The second misconception is there are some fields or there are some types of work which are creative works. People normally say painters, dancers, singers are in creative work. Well, that is not the case. Yes, in those fields, creativity is required and lots of creativity is required. But creativity can be applied to any field and every field. All the work that you do, every type, from teaching to office work, from a work of a peon to a sweeper, everything requires creativity. And that is the basic difference between an average worker and a top worker, a top performer in every field. You can apply creativity to studying, you can apply creativity to teaching, you can apply creativity to office work, to management, anything creativity can be applied. And there are always two ways to do any job, like literally any job: the creative way and the not creative way. So there are creative singers, they are not create non-creative singers. They are creative managers, they are non-creative managers. There can be creative bankers, there can be non-creative bankers. So there is not a particular field where creativity is required, and there is not a particular field that where creativity is not required. Creativity is required everywhere. So now let's come to the point that how can a person become more creative? What is required to be more creative? So, as I already said, that creativity is a skill. It can be learned. So, first let's understand what actually is creativity. Creativity is as simple as recognizing patterns, because everything is in nature. Literally, everything is in nature. So all you have to do is recognize those patterns, then maybe mix those patterns with some other patterns and create some new patterns. That is all about creativity. So when you recognize something, how can you do that? So when you have solved a chapter of mathematics, I'm taking an example, and you see some similar problems, you are able to solve them very quickly. Even a person who you consider smarter than you will have problems if those problems problem solving those problems if those questions are new. But if you have already solved similar types of problems, you will have you find it very easy to solve those questions. Why is that? Because you already know those problems. Similarly, when you maybe you have to write a script of a play about maybe environment conservation. If you have some knowledge or if you have taken some course on maybe environment conservation or something like that, then you will obviously write a play better than the other person who may be a better playwright than you. But because you already know those patterns, you already know that thing, you have pre requisite knowledge about environment conservation, so you can write a better play than him. So creativity is all about recognizing patterns in the environment and in the life and basically mixing them. Nothing is new. Nothing is new in this world. Everything is in nature. So for being creative, you have to get as many ideas as possible. You have to expose your mind to new ideas. And the only way to do that is meet new people, travel new places, and if you cannot do any of that, read more books. Because books is the reading books is the only way where you can find hundreds of ideas, hundreds of new insights, just in like 2 or 3 days or in 1 week. By reading a book, you can get 40 years of experience of an expert in just 1 week, and that is just beautiful. So, by reading books, by watching news, and by just exposing your mind to different ideas, you can get more ideas and you can be really good at recognizing patterns and using that information to create something different and something new. Now, let's talk about some tips that you can do to be more creative. So, first of all, like it is very obvious, try to do things a bit differently than you usually do. So, second thing is expose the new ideas. That is okay. The third and the most important tip is try to restrict yourself in time restrictions. For example, try to restrict your time. For example, if you have 1 day to complete a job, try to do it in half a day. When you have time restrictions, your brain automatically becomes more creative, and this is like proven. Like there was a study about photography students, and when they had time restrictions, the quality of their photos was like really good. Because when you have like limited time, you are in panic mode. Your brain is like, okay, I have time restriction, what can I do, what can I do, what can I do, and it comes up with very good ideas. So setting yourself in like boundaries of time can be really beneficial for your creativity, to bring out the creative genius in you. Second thing that you can do is, when we talk about ideas and when we talk about creativity, quantity is the quality. We are always told to focus on the quality rather than the quantity, but when we talk about ideas, quantity is the quality. What I mean by that is, so everybody knows Einstein. Everybody knows that he gave the photoelectric effect for which he won the Nobel Prize, and he also gave the theory of relativity, and he also like gave the equation of E is equals to mc square, for which he is very famous. But nobody knows that he also published few hundred more research papers on different topics, like very different topics, but those are not famous. Out of those, two of the papers became really famous, changed the world, and gave him all the fame and recognition that he well deserved. Also, if you see the profile of actors, directors, they do like hundreds, fifties of movies. Out of those, only two or three are famous. So what happens is, you never know, when you, from the trash, from everything you do, some gem will come out. And again, there was a study of about photography schools. So they were given projects for their summer breaks. So some of the students were asked asked to bring quantity. That is, they had to click 100 photographs, and half of the students were required to click just one or two photographs, but they were asked that they will be judged on the basis of quality of the photograph. That if you just bring me one photograph, but it has to be like really good. The results were very surprising. And the results were, the students who were given the task of clicking hundreds of photographs, their photos were better than those whose photographs were who were asked to bring just one photograph. But why is that? That is because the students who had to bring just one photograph focused so much on their quality, on their planning, that they procrastinated. They used it as a way of procrastination. While the other group of students who had to bring hundreds of photographs, they were busy in clicking photographs, refining their skills, trying at every angle, and from the quantity came the quality. Out of all that trash, there were 2-3 diamonds that came up. This is obvious. So creativity is not some rocket science. It is not a skill that you are born with. If you expose yourself to new ideas, if you expose yourself to new concepts, to new things, you can be really creative. Another thing to be more creative is learning new things deeply, even if it is not related to your field. So I am going to make a statement. No knowledge is waste if it is deep enough. I repeat, no knowledge is waste if it is deep enough. So what I mean by that is, let me give you an example of some experiments. So there was an experiment in a university where the medical students were asked to take a course in recognizing, like assessing the quality of paintings by the old paintings by their colors or by the fading and etc. So they took this course, and after their like course was completed, after they became doctors, it was seen that the students who took that particular course about seeing the paintings and judging those on the basis of the colors, they were really good at assessing the tests, the radio test or by x-rays of the patients. Because I don't know what skill they got, but they could just see the x-ray or the radiological test, and they could tell what is the problem very accurately. Another example, so when bullet train was introduced in Japan, there was a problem that when the bullet train came out of tunnel, so what happened at that time is there was a very loud sound, because the air was compressed because of the speed of the train, and the air came out with a very high speed of the tunnel out of the tunnel, and there was a very loud sound. So it was like a bullet firing. So all the houses near that tunnel, they were having lots of problems. So the chief designer of the bullet train project was called, and he was asked to solve the problem. So the head of the team was a bird watcher, and he was very fond of birds and their structure and their biology. Completely unrelated fields. Bullet train, mechanical engineering, designing, all the engineering stuff. Bird watching, very different. But what he did is he then designed his new train, like head of the train, on the design inspired by the design of birds like owl or sparrow or something like that. And that problem was solved because the train was now more aerodynamic, and all the problem that was with the basically coming out of that tunnel, that was solved because he used the knowledge from a very unrelated field in bullet train designing. So no knowledge is waste if you know how to implement that idea into your field. That is all about creativity, recognizing patterns and using them to create new ideas. So I hope now you have a better understanding of creativity, and you will use some creativity in your daily routine work, be it study, be it cooking, be it anything. So this is Rohan Chauhan. If you like my video, please subscribe and share. Thank you.